I campaign for nuclear disarmament. I'm usually met with a little bit of surprise when I say that. I think it's unusual for young people in their 20s to be involved in this issue, but I am, and I'll tell you why. So going back to the beginning a little bit, this is me with my university class. I'm the one in the middle with the saw. I studied art in university, and after leaving university, after various adventures, I ended up living in the United Kingdom. So the UK has nuclear weapons, and I had never really considered what they were before. Ireland, like Portugal, doesn't have nuclear weapons, so I associated them with science fiction films and movies, and they weren't real to me. So one of the things that I learned in the UK was what nuclear weapons actually do to human beings. So this woman here is called Setsuko Thurlow. She was 13 when she survived the nuclear bombing of Hiroshima. Her story, I heard it last year, it's quite sobering. I'm only going to share a little bit of it, so brace yourselves. Setsuko said, she saw people moving. They didn't look quite like human beings. They looked like chunks of meat, burnt meat. Skin and flesh were hanging from their bones, burned and scorched and bloody, and some were holding their eyeballs in with their hands. So 340,000 people died immediately and within 5 years following the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Today, there are 15,000 nuclear weapons in the world. They range in size from the weapons that are the same size that Setsuko survived to thousands of times more powerful. So it's worth noting that nuclear weapons aren't illegal. If you look at other weapons that cause terrible damage to human beings, they've all been made illegal. Biological weapons in 1972, chemical weapons in 1993, landmines in 1997, and cluster munitions in 2008. But nuclear weapons, which have the largest destructive capacity of all weapons, they're actually designed to flatten cities, to kill indiscriminately, and if 1/2% of the world's nuclear arsenal is used, we would end up with a global famine, which is a result of a nuclear winter. So I've talked a little bit about the deliberate use of nuclear weapons, but frequently people don't think that that'll actually be used in war. That's a sticking point, but we'll move on. So if you think about the machines that you have in your lives, computers, planes, aeroplanes, cars, how many of them break down or suffer malfunctions? Pretty frequently, I think. I don't know how many times I've had to replace my smartphone. So there's an American author and investigative journalist called Eric Schlosser, and he wrote a book called Command and Control. And in that book, he documents all the nuclear weapons accidents and incidents that have happened in the United States. He's a bit of an expert in what goes wrong with nuclear weapons, and he says this: nuclear weapons are machines, and every machine ever invented eventually goes wrong. Now, that's a little scary if we think about it, because it means that because nuclear weapons exist, we're automatically in danger. I know that sounds quite alarmist, but there's reason for alarm. So this is a lovely screenshot that I did. I added the dot on Porto there, so we know where we are. That's my artistic training for you. So what happened here was, this is 1966, so it was a little while ago. An American B-52 bomber plane was getting refueled over the Mediterranean Sea. It was getting refueled by another plane, and the two planes collided. 7 crew members were killed, and the plane, the B-52 bomber, was carrying 4 hydrogen bombs. These are the largest type of nuclear weapons. The 4 bombs fell out of the plane. One of them landed in the ocean, and it was recovered 2.5 months later. And the 3 others landed near Palomores, which is a small fishing village. So nuclear weapons consist of conventional explosives as well as radioactive material. And 2 of the bombs, when they hit the ground, the conventional explosives detonated, and 2 square kilometers were contaminated with plutonium. But that was 1966. So in 2009, in the Bay of Biscay, 2 nuclear-powered submarines carrying nuclear warheads collided. One of the nuclear submarines started to spiral towards the seafloor, and the crew managed to gain control again before it hit the bottom. Both submarines returned to port with visible damage. Now, this could have been a massive humanitarian disaster, but we were lucky, and my point would be this: we have been lucky on these occasions, but accidents are happening all the time, and they'll continue to happen. So how long will our luck hold out? So I couldn't get through a TEDx talk without quoting J.K. Rowling. She's a kind of a personal hero of mine, and she tweeted this recently. She said, "We stand together, we stick up for the vulnerable, we challenge bigots, we don't let hate speech become normalized, we hold the line." So what I think she's talking about is maintaining a moral standard in our society, not letting things disintegrate. And I know right now that we're living in quite uncertain times. I've been very frightened by the results of the US presidential election, very disturbed by the Brexit vote, and really, really worried about the growing popularity of right-wing extremism in Europe. I mean, these are all reasons for concern, and they're legitimate. But in relation to nuclear weapons, there's a little bit of hope. So right now, there's a global movement which has been led by non-nuclear weapon states and by ICAN, the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons. And this movement is hoping to ban nuclear weapons. So recently, 123 UN member states voted in support of developing a treaty to make nuclear weapons illegal under international humanitarian law. These negotiations are taking place in March, June, and July of this year. So I just want to, for 1 second, we're at a TEDx event at a European university, and by virtue of the fact that we're here, we have a certain amount of privilege. We're very well equipped to influence change and to face the challenges that are coming. And while democracy is being challenged right now, it's also being revitalized. And I suppose a nuclear weapons ban treaty would be a really practical step that we could take towards making the world safer and more secure right now. So 3 years ago, I wasn't aware about nuclear weapons. I didn't grow up with the fear of them. A lot of our parents will have lived through the Cold War. And this is, it's a real problem because there's a lack of awareness and understanding about nuclear weapons for our generation, and this idea that they're just weapons from the past. But they're very much part of our reality right now, whether we know it or not, and that's the key. So what I would really, hope that we can do now is start to tell people about nuclear weapons, start to tell people about the ban treaty. We don't have to be stuck where we are. Portugal, like other European countries, not all of them, but most of them, are boycotting the negotiations. Why? Why are they boycotting negotiations to make weapons illegal that do what they did to Setsugo? So what I would ask is right now that we be aware, we try to protect the moral standard in our society, and we spread the word, because nuclear weapons are immoral, there's no question about it. We can't leave our safety in the hands of luck, because luck runs out. Thank you.